bunch of packages here. Let's get stuck into it. Don't forget to put links down below for things I'll give you links for. So always check out the description. It's a cable. So this is a MMCX to BNC, male and female cable. You know, individual cables. It's a pair. I got that because of the Euler Precision thing which I got recently, which uses MMCX connectors, and I didn't actually have any. So I purchased some bits so I can adapt out and connect to various devices and things, and give you options for connecting to the probe. If you haven't seen that Euler Precision device, it's a good chance it's last week's video, the review video I did. Look for it. Okay, that's what we need anyway, that bit. So it's just a Triax cable. Yeah. I've got some other Triax cables recently which I showed previously in the mailbag, and this is a 2-lug Triax. It's like a BNC, but it's got 3 levels in it. So you've got the inner conductor, you've got the outer shield. Does that look wonky to you? And then you've got the outer. I think that's wonky. Why is that wonky? That's not a good sign. Can I just give that like a poke or something? Is that? Pretty sure it's not meant to be wonky like that. I don't think it's going to line up properly over like that. Maybe I can just bend it straight a little bit. Yeah, this doesn't look right, does it? It's not centered. I'll probably snap the pin off now and be a complete waste of effort. It's definitely wonky, isn't it? It's definitely not straight. Anyway, I'll have to look at that more carefully. It's also got these crocodile clips on the end, which are copper, pure copper crocodile clips. And sometimes when you're doing precision equipment, you need pure copper to reduce the effects of like thermal junctions and stuff like that. Effectively what you get from dissimilar metals when you're connecting things up. So sometimes you need pure copper. I was working on something recently and I actually specified pure copper crocodile clips because otherwise it would give a misreading. So yes, it does matter. Bag inside a bag. That's some more MMCX cables, 50cm and 1 meter. I just wanted some longer cables to use at that probe again. These are male to female, so these are like extensions, and these are male to male, so it's actually like a main cable for hooking up to a test jig. So again, more cables for my options for hooking up to that new probe I've got. We'll stick the labels on. Alright, so this is SMA to MMCX male connectors. I think they're both the same, aren't they? Yep. I think. Yeah, male and female connectors. There we go. Try and get you closer. SMA, standard. SMA. That's SMA female, SMA male. Although reverse polarity, isn't it? Male and female MMCX. That's not what I was expecting. I thought I was going to get 2 males. One's an RP, not a male. I'll have to look into that one. Yeah, the sticker shows SMA male, SMA male. So yeah, they've sent me one of the wrong parts. Some more MMCX parts. These are some sockets, female sockets. Obviously chassis mounting or whatever for making up jigs. And I've got some more here. 2 lots the same. Just in case I want to make up any jigs or anything. I was thinking maybe I could put this on like an end of a one of those cables I've got. Like get one of these leads. I'll zoom out a little bit. So I think I could get one of these leads, put this plug on the end of one of those leads and make up a roving probe so then you can actually use it by hand. That's something I was thinking of anyway. And this is 60cm, wherever it is. So it's 2 of them. So it's UFL. Oh right, UFL male to UFL female. So it's extensions. Just in case they're needed for something. That's all to do with this probe, this active probe I've got. Basically I'm getting various cables assemblies set up, so if I need to do probing I've got options for how to do it. I was actually thinking I might even like get these cables, which are these cheaper ones, and maybe cut them in half and make my own probes with them. Something like that. Another MMCX thing. So MMCX female to SMA female. This is fairly heavy. It's a rubber material and it's got double-sided tape on the other side of it, so you can use this to like make feet or whatever. Now I've got a couple of things I want to make feet for, so this is perfect for that. So just double side tape it on, and you got flat fur. Now this is like one of the things I was thinking of for this was the Keithley 220 or 617 I've got here. I can't remember which one it is. Well, one of them's got those rectangular feet which recessed inside the plastic of the bottom housing, and they're missing on one of them. I was thinking I could cut this up and make some rectangular feet out of this. Should do the job nicely. Plus I've got some other projects I want to put this on too, so that's why I've got so much of it. You can see I've got a device dismantled in the background here. This is a Keithley 220, the bits of it. I'm in the process of refurbishing it, but I'm waiting for some parts to arrive. 40-watt light bulb. The size of this beast. I can't test it on my bench because, well, I can't. Is it really Philips? Who knows. It could be. 40 watt, 6,500 Kelvin, 4,000 lumen. Now the bulb for the kitchen blew recently, and it's quite nice having a bright bulb out there. And also there's like a work area out there too, which could probably benefit from having bright light. So I thought I'd get one of these and see how good it is, if it's any good at all. I mean, is it really Philips? Is it? Don't know. But anyway, this wasn't that expensive. Certainly far cheaper than getting it locally. It says it's Philips. It looks legitimate, I suppose. This bit doesn't feel so legitimate. It feels quite light, but yeah, we'll see. I'll try it out and hopefully it's okay. If it's good, I might see about getting one of these for in this room, because one of my ceiling bulbs are blown. It takes this Edison screw type fitting, so that bulb I could replace with one of these, increase the brightness in here too. Need lots of lighting in there. Right, can you guess where this box came from? In fact, it's just got this tape with the string in it. I'm going to use an actual knife. Well, there's a centre there somewhere. This whole lot here cost me about $700. So you've got some tantalums here, 1 microfarad, 35 volt. These are some 10 microfarad, 35 volt electrolytics. 4.7 microfarad, 350 volt. I need these for this project here. 16 volt, 4,700 microfarad. 1 gig ohm resistor, 1%. 3 watt axial. This thing's expensive. But when you get to these high value resistors, the prices certainly go up a lot. I need these for doing some calibration stuff on high value equipment, like, well, not high value, but equipment which needs high resistance to do calibration. I don't actually have any like 1 gig ohms or 100 mega ohm resistors. What's this one's here? 680 microfarad, 63 volt, 100 mega ohm resistor, 1%. Looks the same as the other one. Some tantalums, 2.2 microfarad, 50 volt, 10 microfarad, 50 volt, 4.7 microfarad, 35 volt. This restocking a lot of this stuff, but some of these are parts I need for this project I'm doing, rebuilding this thing. 10 microfarad, 450 volt. I think that was needed for the 617 I've got to do. I think it was. 4.7 microfarad, 350 volt. Again for the 617. 47 microfarad, 35 volt. Another resistor. More tantalums. 4.7 microfarad, 50 volt. So what's this resistor here? This is a 10 mega ohm, 0.01%. Nice precision one, this one. 0.01%. 10 meg. Nice. We've got here 680 microfarad, 50 volt. 47 microfarad, 160 volt. I think I needed that for this. I don't actually remember. I'll stick them over there. Another resistor, 10 ohms, 0.1%. Bit less special that one, but still fairly nice. Next bag. We've got 680 microfarad, 35 volt. 1000 microfarad, 35 volt. Another resistor, 100k, 0.01%. 4700 microfarad, 50 volt. I am pretty sure I didn't need that for that project. I was going to put them on one side for now. I'll sort it later on. Here's some big chunky ones. 330 microfarad, 160 volt. I believe these were for the 617 as well. Nice special resistor there. Not much protection on it though. 100 gig ohm, 1%. 100 gig ohm. So this will probably need cleaning once I've actually installed it, because there's a good chance someone's been touching that with their fingers and it's probably got contamination, so I need cleaning off. Because you'll get leakage because of that. 100 gig. 470 microfarad, 50 volt. Small tantalums, 10 microfarad, 35 volt. more tantalums, 10 microfarad 35 volt. I don't use 25 volt caps unless there's a space consideration. I use 35 volt minimum on tantalums. Another resistor there, it's a very small one, 1K, 0.05%. The one I wanted went out of stock or something, it wasn't available, and this is the only one I could get. It's a bit small for my liking, but that's what I could get. 620 microfarad 35 volt, 620. 4.7, 400 volt. I believe I need them for that, or the 617, one of them. I didn't really have many high voltage caps, so another resistor, 100 ohm, 0.01%. Those resistors are expensive. Reed switches, 25 of them in there apparently. These are in case I need them, I think. Yeah. But these have got certain specs for like leakage currents and stuff like that, so they're slightly better specs. So I've got those ones because these might be needed for the 617 potentially, because that's got relays on there. You've got Koto ones, I think, and an option is to replace the actual reed itself if they play up, and these ones apparently fit. So there's spares for that. 4725 volt, 4716 volt, just because I need it for stock. 1000 picofarad 630 volt axial caps, some film caps. Now I got these ones because on my 617 there's supposed to be a poly cap there. Can't remember what type it is now, I've forgotten, it's gone off the top of my head. But there's a poly cap there, supposed to be. But mine's got a tantalum in there, and tantalums are polarised, and the circuit may not like a polarised capacitor, and that's what's in it. I wonder if someone swapped it out because the other one failed, and I couldn't get the other one, the other type. I couldn't find this right one, so I'm thinking I might use one of these. So it's 1000 picofarad and 630 volts, so voltage is, you know, fine. But yeah, it's not the same cap, but I think it's probably better than using a tantalum, which is what it appears to be in there right now. And 10,000 microfarad 25 volt. I think this is for the 617 as well. Or was it? No, was it for this one? No, it was for this. For this 220. I've got the power supply board now over the other side there, but these, I need axial caps, and to get axials, was it a 330s I needed for axial? Yeah, 330 is what I needed for axial. 160 volt. But they're like $40 each. $45 each I think it was, and only two of them. It's like, that's ridiculous. You get a radial type, it's like $3. Crazy. Another box just arrived. I'm waiting for parts from this, so I know what's in here. I need it for this thing that's in pieces on my desk here, so I can put it back together again. Interesting way it's packaged differently. I'm going to have to use a real knife on this to get this one out. Fans. So there's both 115 volt fans. I wasn't sure which one I was going to use. This is what it's replacing. So I've got two. I've got a slim one and a fat one, and they've both got the same kind of rating as this, airflow wise. This is silent. This one silent. This one bumbles. This one's worn out. So this is out of this piece of equipment here, which is on my desk, which is a Keithley 220. I'm doing a video about that. I got these fans in the intention of using one of these. Now this one here is physically the same, but I also got this one which is skinnier. The reason being is I wasn't sure if I was going to rubber mount it or not. I'm thinking if I rubber mount it, then I might need to allow space for shims and what have you. A little extra thickness for the rubber mounts, rubber standoffs. Now these actually mount onto the back panel of this plate here, onto these studs which are mounted onto this plate. I don't know if I can even get those out easy enough, I don't know. But yeah, that's something that needs looking at. Based on the fact that this is dead silent spinning now, I think I won't bother about rubber mounting. Probably won't anyway. Now you can see it's got a connector on here. I don't have this style of connector, I don't think. So what I was probably going to do is just cut this off and like splice these wires on. Demonstrate the volume, I suppose. Could do it a bit dodgily. You reckon I could just like touch the wires on? We could do that. Let's check the volume levels out. It's slightly dodgy. It's only slightly dodgy. It's alright. What could possibly go wrong? Let's plug this fan in, which is the original one. And I'll plug power in, and we'll see what noise levels we get. Let's turn this on. I don't know if you can hear that. It's rattling away. It's not particularly loud, but it's loud when you got it inside a casing and the whole casing starts rattling and resonating with it. So, yep, that's pretty noisy. Which is why I'm replacing this. I've already stripped this down and tried to get it better. I mean, can you hear that? It's not meant to do that. But I've got it as good as I could, lubricated everything. It got it quieter, but couldn't fix it. Now we've got these other two fans. I'm not quite sure if I can just touch the wires on and not have something go horribly wrong. What do you reckon? It's only slightly dangerous. Don't touch anything else apart from the wires. Pretty good. Not much noise at all. Let's try this one. Slightly quieter. This one is slightly quieter than this one. But still way better than the original. So I think I'm going to be happy to put this one in. All I'm really hearing is air noise. I'm not really hearing the motor as such. I'm hearing a little bit, but not much. But I think it'll be fine. That's going to be way better than the original fan. So that's what I'm going to go with. Well, that's that done. At least I've got the parts I need now to finish the refurbishment of this Keithley 220. And the parts I need to get started on the 617. I realised after I did this order that this fan needs replacing. This is also at the 220. Yeah, it's not meant to do that, and it's quite noisy. I've actually pulled it apart and tried shimming it and cleaning it up a little bit and stuff like that, but it doesn't really make a difference. I can't really get it much better. When I shim it to get the slack out, so there's no play in it, or minimal play, so it doesn't rattle, it actually has trouble starting. It's quite a low power fan. So other videos to watch down below there. Subscribe over here if you're not already subscribed. There's Patreon support link over there. Tell me to buy things from Mailbag. Maybe buy some more capacitors, you know, $700 worth of that. And buy a bit of Heathkit, which I can leave dismantled on my desk. So